All right, this week we're going to be talking about leadership. And I know lots of people think they're leaders, want to be leaders, but let's look at what God says about leaders and some people in the Bible who were leaders and what we can learn from them. So, to start off, let's define what leadership is supposed to be. It's an act of influencing others for Christ's best interest in their life. Okay, you're serving them so that God's best interest in their life comes to pass, not because you have an agenda, not because you want to mold them or make them do what you want, but finally, serving is a part of leadership, and that's the main thing with Jesus. Okay, and the world says it's about 30% genetic, whether you become a leader or you don't become a leader, and 70% is who you are modeled by or the way you were taught. So it largely depends on how you grew up and who you saw leading around you. Did you see somebody who was like Hitler? They were a dictator. Or somebody who was like, I just want to lead by being your pal, friendship kind of leadership. Or like leaders that are like your heroes. Oh, because I'm great or I'm famous, then I lead people, people follow me. You see that a lot in the sports world and the film industry, or maybe peer leadership. The class president. You're all in the same class together, but this person kind of rose a little bit ahead. All right, so today we're going to talk about Jesus and how Jesus sees leaders. And he says, first of all, if you're going to be a leader, you have to be a servant. That's right, Matthew 20:26. He says, but among you, it's going to be different, which says there are other ways of being a leader. Other people are going to do this differently, but here among us, it's going to be different. And what is that? He's saying if you want to be a leader, first of all, you have to serve. You must serve. Whoever wants to be great among you first must be the servant of all. So there were no other options, all right? So in the world, we see a pyramid, and at the top of the pyramid, we think, the leader's at the top and everybody underneath follows him. But in God's way of doing things, he flips that pyramid upside down, all right? And the leader's at the bottom and serving all the people. That's the way Jesus did things. He served. I know it's not what we like to hear. We like to think, I'm going to be at the top. Well, let's look at what Moses said. When Moses had all the millions of people and they had come out of Egypt and they were dividing into groups, he said, choose capable people, capable men from among you. It's Exodus 18:21. And so what were the qualifications for being capable? Not if you were strong, not if you were taller, not if you were smarter. What did he say? They have to be people who fear God, who are trustworthy, and who hate dishonest gain. So these are character issues. These are things that talk about your integrity, whether or not you can be a good leader. All right, 2 Corinthians 6:8, it says, we serve God whether people honor us or whether people despise us, whether they slander us or whether they praise us. Well, that's not an easy thing, but Paul definitely went through that. Not everybody loved Paul all the time. And he's saying if you're a leader and you're going to serve whether they're honoring you or whether they're hating you. That's a little bit tough. But you know what? If you've become a leader because you wanted to be famous or you wanted special privileges, then your motives were wrong and you are never going to be successful. Okay? Because God's kind of leader means choosing to serve on a more full-time basis. I have a dear friend, and his name is Pastor Rod Baker. And you know what? He's an amazing man. He's been a pastor for so many years, and he's been in ministry for so many years, serving, feeding children, feeding people all over the world. And you know what? During the COVID pandemic, he was in touch with President Donald Trump and got so many semi-trucks full of food and just gave it away. And you know what? It was never about his name becoming bigger. In fact, probably many of you have never even heard of his name, although he's done so much for so many people. In fact, he would use his connections to get food and then freely give it away to small church pastors all over Oklahoma and Kansas, Arkansas, Texas, so that they could have a food distribution ministry in their areas. He didn't get any of the credit for that. You know what he was doing? He was serving like Jesus does. It wasn't about getting the praises or the title or even the appreciation, although so many people appreciate him. But you know what I want to say about him that I never forget? This is a man who could be in touch with presidents, and yet, no matter who comes in front of him, whether it's a person who doesn't have a home at present or a person who doesn't have enough money for food. When they come into his presence, the first thing he says is, how can I serve you? You know, and he has taught all his staff to honor people by saying that same thing. First thing, that's the way they'll greet you. How can I serve you? And so going the second mile, I want us to encourage each other. The way Jesus made leaders is the way we need to be making leaders. And that is servants first. So you know what? If you're going to be a servant, it means you're going to have a lot of opportunities to lay your life down. And that's what Jesus said. Pick up your cross daily and follow me.